What's going on, YouTube? AlphonZeus of Team Gradelock here with a brand new segment every week on Thursday. We're going to be called Unlocking the Deck, and this time we're going to be breaking down all of Cardfight Vanguard's clans into 3 different sections. One will be the basic strategy of the deck, so this will be going over the basics, what sets this deck apart from the others, as well as any other key ace units that really make the deck work and probably can't even live without. So I'll be going over that, as well as, any vanilla builds, as well as builds that came before section 2, which will be the sub-archetypes, which means that these will be, I guess, sub-clans within the clan that have their own version of the basic strategy. So, for example, I'll be discussing Oracle Think Tank, so I'll be discussing the vanilla stuff such as, CEO, Silent Tom, Tsukiyomi, and then we're going to be going into, actually, before that, also Scarlet Witch Coco, can't forget her. And then in section 2, we're going to be going over the sub-archetypes, so you get to see how it evolved over time, as well as, the 2 different strategies that happened of the basic ones, so the spin-offs, kind of, in a way. And finally, in section 3, we'll be discussing playing the deck, as in how to play the deck, as well as how to play against a deck. So, going over all these 3 sections, let's start off with the basics. And going off with a clan that I know very well and love, which is Oracle Think Tank. And seeing how it all started, well, it was one of the first clans that premiered in set 1, all the way back then, which was 4 years ago. Wow, I can't believe it. Almost 4 years. And what they revolve around is not the usual swarm the field or manipulating your opponent's field, as in retiring or locking. You actually revolve around your own field and hand, and you rely on the skills of your Vanguard a lot more than your other clans such as Royal Paladin, Kagero, Spike Bros, as these skills can actually pretty much help out whether they hit or not. And they play mind games quite a bit. They were the original instigator of playing games with your opponent. As let's start off with the main ace unit from way yonder, and this is CEO Amaterasu. And this unit, one of the top 3 aces in Oracle Think Tank, probably still a good one today, despite her being a 10k vanilla, 10k Vanguard, my bad. So she has 3 different skills, all of which pretty much make her amazing. The first of which is that during your turn, whenever you have 4 or more cards in the hand, she gains 4,000 power. The fact that it's during your turn and there's no other requirements such as the beginning of your main phase or when you attack, the fact that she can just go up to 14k already. When you have 2 cards, you go in Twin Drive, boom, she goes up to a 14k. And then she helps hit magic numbers, even with a 6 and 7k booster behind it, because you're going to be hitting at least 20k, which was a magic number back then. So, the fact of the matter is that she has benefits off of you having hand. And the second skill, which is pretty much the one you activate every turn, makes it even a little bit better, or how do I say, a lot better, for you, not your opponent. Because you get to Soul Charge 1 at the beginning of your main phase, then you get to Scry 1. If you don't know Magic the Gathering, it's pretty much you look at the top card, and you can either place it on the top or the bottom. And this is where mind games really come into play, as your opponent will be thinking, alright, if he puts it on the bottom, that means, okay, he just saved himself from a dead trigger, okay? Or, if the person leaves the card on top of the deck, that's like, alright, please don't be a crit. I do not want to get double crit right now. So you'll have to change the way how you guard against OTT. And that's where CEO really can get in their pressure. And her third effect, or third skill, that probably won't go off as often, but it can be very, very deadly, is that when the unit attack hits, it doesn't have to hit a Vanguard, it can also hit a rear guard. Soul Blast 8, Counter Blast 5, you draw 5 cards. And as sacky as that can look, it really plays the fact that, okay, if I'm at 5 damage, this skill is live, and it will hit. And therefore, that's like the ace unit. But you can't have just an ace unit alone. You also have some rear guards that can really help it out too. So, what was an optimal lineup, at least by the time we hit set 2, was actually Maiden of Libra. Now, Maiden of Libra was the first of its kind. And it's that if the unit attack hits, it's a 9k base too, you get the counterblast 2 to draw a card. So that means that you can attack rear guards, you can attack a Vanguard, whatever the case may be. It's either, say, attack a rear guard for extra pressure, because either they lose out on cards by, you know, dropping cards in their hand to guard that attack so you don't draw, or they lose out on a rear guard and you draw a card for free. Pretty much. Because it makes them guard rear guards a hell of a lot more, because usually you only save your guarding power for the Vanguard, but when you make your opponent think that they have to guard for a rear guard just because you can't get that extra draw, really plays into their head thinking, alright, then if I guard this rear guard attack, what the hell is going to happen to me when the Vanguard attack or another rear guard attack hits? So that pressure, that mind, it's strategic. It really signifies and makes the deck pretty damn awesome. Plus, it's the only deck in Vanguard that, at least I know so far, that you can legally stack your deck. At least with the skills. Now, I'm not promoting stacking your deck in any means, but when you're using the skills to stack the deck, that makes OTT pretty darn scary. And the thing is, though, we talk about Maiden Lead, we talk about CEO, but we also talk about probably one of the most notorious units that we've ever seen, which happened to be Silent Tom. And Silent Tom has a unique skill. Only one other unit that I know of actually has it, which was Dragonic Novell, the grade 4 for Kagero. And what's that? When this unit attacks, your opponent cannot use grade 0s to guard with. And the thing is, though, in Vanguard, you usually just use up your triggers to guard attacks, and therefore you probably just Legion them back in once the Legion format hits. Or you get to, you know, guard with your, you know, grade 0s, and then you get to call out any, you know, grade 1s or 2s you have in your hand to pretty much fill up the field and try to swing in for game. With Silent Tom, you change the way that the opponent would guard, in which that they have to drop either a perfect guard, which is mad plus for you because that's one less perfect guard that he could use on the Vanguard, and 2, you pretty much have a almost guaranteed hand, as I've had games where Silent Tom was swinging and the opponent had 4 or 5 cards in hand, and he or she couldn't guard that attack because most of the cards in hand were grade 0s and they don't have enough guarding power in order to guard that attack, and therefore it lands a hit. So that makes Silent Tom extremely scary, and combining the uses of these 3 ace units together really help form how OTT, you really don't want any single attack to hit, no matter what. Because either they draw a card, or, you know, I suffer from utilizing grade 1s and 2s to guard for a unit that I probably could have used just a grade 0 to guard with, but because of that skill, I really can't. And then you have the ace unit where it's just like, alright, she hits, she draws 5, and plus she helps stack the top of the deck. It makes me think, do I really want to guard for 2 to pass, or do I just want to make it a no pass? So that's like the vanilla. But then we move into 2 other cards that I'd like to bring up as well, or 3 by that matter. The first of which was Tsukiyomi, and Tsukiyomi was the personification of stacking your deck legally, in which that with the ride chain that they had in set 3, and pretty much the only other clan that actually had this was Galahad Ride Chain in Royal Paladins. It was at the starting Vanguard, no Forerunner skill, but you do get to check the top 5. If you see the grade 1 or the next grade higher than on the Vanguard circle, immediately ride it, but no ride phase after, because that would be pretty broken if you could just ride twice in one turn. So, going off of that strategy, Tsukiyomi also realizes off of soul charging cards off of the grade 2 if you get it, as well as utilizing a card known as Oracle Guardian Red Eye in order to soul charge cards on hit. Therefore, once you hit 6 soul, and you ride onto the grade 3 Tsukiyomi, you get to counterblast to the draw 2 and put 1 into the soul. And it's interesting in the fact that not only you get to draw out, but you get to draw into your stack, which is pretty much the first 15 cards or first 12 cards, depending on how well you got, you know, the next card in the ride chain, in which then you can hit the stack and say, alright, I already know what's going to happen in the stack, and you have to think and you have to predict what's going to happen. Because once you hit that stack, it all relies on your memory to realize, alright, I remember I put a heal and a crit, and if I drive check that heal, I'm pretty sure that's it. Like, oh, this is the heal trigger. Alright, all the Vanguard, all the Vanguard. And the thing is, though, your opponent, even though that he's prepared for 1 trigger, he or she is prepared for 1 trigger, they are probably not prepared for double triggers. And that's how I won quite a few of my matches, because they were ready for 1 trigger, but not 2. And therefore, going off of Tsukiyomi, you really get to see the power of OTT in action. It's stacking the deck and really just running through the deck in order to generate card advantage. And the thing is, though, if you want card advantage, there is actually no more of an aggro deck from OTT than Scarlet Witch Coco. She's a 10k base, so that is kind of weak. But her skill is, combined with the skills that we've seen in set 7, is that pretty much she relies on no soul. That you get to, once you place it on the Vanguard, you get the Counter Blast 2, you can draw 2 for free. And the thing is though, you have the grade 0 starter, where when the grade 3 is placed, you get to call her and then Soul Blast 2, you draw a card. So you pretty much gain 3 cards, 5 cards in one turn when you do a twin drive with Scarlet's Coco. And all of them rely on just pretty much just drawing that hand and outlasting all the way until the endgame, because your endgame you probably still have a hand. And speaking of hand and saving cards in your hand, in the Legion format, one particular card definitely helped out the meta, in which that it's called Weather Forecaster Miss Mist. And this card, although when she first debuted as a double R in the comic style extra booster, she got her importance back in the same way that Cat Butler did when Legion came out. As in Weather Forecaster Miss Mist, you actually get to say when this is placed on Vanguard, or Guardian Circle I mean. If it's during the battle in which your opponent's grade 2 or less Vanguard attacked, choose one of your OTTs that is being attacked, and that unit cannot be hit until end of battle. So that means that when your opponent is in Legion, at least with a grade 2 mate, that mate is on the Vanguard Circle. Therefore, you can use Miss Mist to pretty much just place it on the Guardian Circle and not do anything else, because the skill activates and that Vanguard Legion skill will not hit. So that makes her a great utility piece, especially when you're playing in the Legion format. Of course, when they're not in Legion or leading up to that turn when they do, it's going to be just another 5k shield in hand that you'll probably have to guard with. But Weather Forecaster Miss Mist, she found her purpose in the Legion format, as well as Cat Butler. So props to them, and that's a very interesting tech card that you can actually run in OTT. Now, if you have any actually tech cards that you like to put in your OTT deck, feel free to comment down below with them, because I'd like to know for myself, at least from my experience with playing OTT for pretty much 6 months to a year, or even more for that matter. I like to know other different tech cards. What I like to base my at least basic strategies off of as some of the prominent units that we've seen that have been widely run in OTT. And the thing is though, we will get into some of the other units that have premiered, but also get the sub-archetypes later. So, I'm talking about the battle systems, like, Mocha, Coco, and the rest of and Chocolate, I guess. But we'll get into the sub-archetypes later. Right now, I at least want to cover the vanilla units as well as the main base vanilla strategy of OTT. Now, if you think this video was helpful in, understanding at least a basic sense of what OTT is, you can comment that down below. If you disagree with me or think that I probably need to do, I guess something different with it, feel free to do that as well. I welcome any constructive criticism, as this is a new segment, and no matter how hard I prepare for this, it's always going to have some sort of missing element to it. And I feel grateful that when you call me out for it, because I'm glad that you care enough to at least say, hey, you're missing out on this part, or maybe this other card that could have been a very useful card to utilize from way back when. But the goal of at least the first section of each of the clan videos and unlocking the clan is just to say, hey, this is a basic sense of what they do. Of course, you can cover all of the pretty much shoe-ins for every clan, from the Perfect Guards, the 8k vanillas, 10k vanillas, etc. So feel free to comment down below. I hope that you've enjoyed this section, the first section of unlocking the deck, or unlocking the clan, per se, of Oracle Think Tank, and we'll see you next week, this time with exploring the 2 most popular archetypes, or sub-archetypes, within Oracle Think Tank, the Battle Sisters and the Maguses. Take care, guys. I'll see you next time.